Okay, one thing before I get started with the video. I don't really care about the game balance. I mean, there's a reason why I like the Toy Story event. Because Buzz Lightyear was just a free brawler. Plus, he had three different forms, so it wasn't like we were playing against the same thing over and over again. We played against the same three things over and over again. So before you rant at me that my favorite Brawl Stars year had a bad meta, just know that that's a part of the game that I don't really care about. And that's why I'm not going to talk about the meta in this video. But I just wanted to get that out of the way. So enjoy the video. If I had to ask you what was your favorite Brawl Stars year, which year would it be? Would it be 2019 because it was the first full year of Brawl Stars? Or would it be 2023 because they changed so much that year? Would it be 2024 because of banger events and the game being popular again? Or is it 2021 because of power level 10 and 11? Okay, I've got no idea why anyone would say 2021 is their favorite year. But if you ask me what is my favorite year of Brawl Stars, I'd say my favorite year of Brawl Stars is 2015. You know, Project Laser? Nah, I'm joking. It's actually half a decade later. 2020 is my favorite year of Brawl Stars. But why is that the case? Well, there are three things I normally look for in updates. The first thing I'm looking for is the feature. Whether it's a rework, a big improvement, or a flat out new feature, this is the main thing I'm looking for in updates. The second thing I'm looking for in updates are brawlers. The main thing I'm looking for in new brawlers is what new mechanics do they have? What parallels do they have to other brawlers? And do their gadgets, star powers, and hypercharges bring anything new to the table? That's what I'm looking for in new brawlers. The third thing I'm looking for in updates are smaller features. These are usually either smaller features or smaller improvements, like when they added the training camp in 2019, or when they added volume sliders in 2025. Those are what I like to call smaller features. So now you know what I mainly look for in Brawl Stars updates. And 2020 crushes all three categories. So let's start with the first category, features. 2020 has a total of 7 features. The features in order are gadgets, brawl pass, pins, PvE rework, chromatic rarity, second gadgets, and map maker. Now, some of these you may say, wait, really, you call these features? And my answer is yes. Rarities are a feature because they bring something new to the table, especially the chromatic rarity, because it was treated differently from any other rarity. And then we've got the PvE rework. It's pretty weird I'm considering an event that we rarely see nowadays to be a feature, but back then PvE appeared every weekend. So back then it was more like a feature rather than something that pops in here and there. So those are the 7 main features that got added this year. There is technically an 8th feature, but I will say why it doesn't count later on. But hey, it doesn't matter how many features a year has, as long as they're quality. So let's quickly go over every single one. First up, we've got gadgets. Gadgets were the last good add-on to brawlers, and I mean it. Unlike later add-ons which sort of feel like newer versions of what we already had, gadgets felt unique and fresh. And to sweeten the deal, they had the least controversy out of any of the abilities, because they were the only ability that wasn't locked behind max power level. They also costed half the amount of star powers, and every brawler got one at launch. That meant your main had something new to play with guaranteed, unlike hypercharges. As for Brawl Pass, while a bit controversial in the beginning, all the controversy got cleaned up by the next season, which is something we don't really see nowadays. Plus, I can't mention the old Brawl Pass without saying that it costed gems. As for pins, do I really need to say more? Chromatics, as I said, was the most original out of all the rarities, and the PvE rework mainly happened because of the Brawl Pass, which I don't think anyone got angry over. But second gadgets were really cool, because for the next 10 weeks we were promised one of them every week. Overall, that made for a really hype summer. And for the final feature, which is Map Maker, while dead nowadays, it was really hype back then, and it also got constant updates until late 2021. So overall, looking at all the features, the worst I can say is, it's okay. Which is crazy to say because most years of Brawl Stars usually have that one feature that makes everyone really angry. And while we did get one this year, it got cleaned up pretty quickly. So at worst, the features were fine, and at best, they were really good. So overall, 2020 features-wise is pretty good. So now let's talk about brawlers. 2020 gave us 11 new brawlers. brawlers. And I'm not gonna say all the names. But what I will say is how good all these brawlers were. Every brawler that got released in 2020 had a unique attack and a unique super. And these brawlers didn't have to change the fundamental mechanics, unlike brawlers that would be released later. And even if some brawlers were a bit basic, they made up for it with their special trait, like Lou being able to give a brawler a brain freeze, Surge being able to upgrade, and Amber just having an ammo meter. Overall, every brawler this year felt unique and creative. And yes, even Edgar. It wasn't like in 2023 where some brawlers felt like they had broken mechanics, which made them really hard to balance. And 2020 has none of that. So 2020 was a really good year for brawlers. Nowadays, we only think about will the next brawler break the game. But back then, we were thinking about what interesting mechanic would they think of next. And this environment made it really fun to speculate about the new brawler. But overall, I don't really have anything else to say about 2020's brawlers. Great across the board. Finally, we reached the third thing I'm looking for in updates: smaller features. And ooh boy, does 2020 have a lot of them. To just name a good amount, we got challenges, true silver and true gold skins, animated pins, map maker updates, hot zone, brawl pass updates, trophy road extension, brawl boxes rework. Star, 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 Brawl Stars lore. And the best one was definitely Super City Rampage. No joke, I actually kinda liked it. Overall, 2020 was definitely swimming in smaller features. While some of the smaller features may be a bit more controversial than the main features, they were still all really quality. And remember how I said there could have been an 8th main feature? Well, that 8th main feature could have been challenges, although I don't really consider them a feature because they feel more like events, like PvE events nowadays. Even quests could be considered a main feature, although I don't really count them because they feel like they're more tied to Brawl Pass. Overall, 2020 is the best year for what I'm looking for in Brawl Stars updates. And there's no competition. The only competition I can think about that could have come close to 2020 would be 2023. But even then, it falls short in a lot of areas. First of all, we got less main features than 2020. And while they are bigger, bigger doesn't always mean better. As for new brawlers that got released in 2023, I already said this, but some brawlers feel fundamentally broken. Other brawlers just feel bland, with no real substance to really make them stand out. And the few brawlers that are actually unique can't compare to the amount of brawlers that are unique in 2020. And while you may say that 2020 had fewer brawlers, making it way easier to make better brawler ideas, just looking at 2024 and what they already have added in 2025, it's pretty clear that they haven't really ran out of ideas. So I think it's just a Brawl team that had no good brawler ideas in 2023, rather than there were no more good ideas by 2023. And as for smaller features in 2023, they sort of ran into the same issue with the features. Bigger isn't always better. While more of the smaller features were definitely better than the bigger features, it doesn't really hide the fact that early access offers and modifiers kinda stink, which I can't really say about any of the other smaller features in 2020, except maybe True Silver and True Gold skins. And unlike early access offers and modifiers, they weren't pushed in your face. It was more like, hey, do you want this? And the reaction was normally no. So overall, comparing 2020 to 2023, there were less features and not as good features as in 2020. The brawlers that year were either bland or fundamentally broken. And as for smaller features, while most of them being good, there were definitely a few stinkers. And keep in mind, that's the only year that's anywhere close to 2020, because every other year had either fewer features or bland brawlers. Or you could be at 2024, which had a good chance of beating 2020, but it threw it away because it rather wanted to focus on events. And it doesn't really seem like 2025 will be able to beat 2020. So now you know my favorite year of Brawl Stars, and why nothing really comes close in my eyes. Keep in mind, this is all my opinion. Plus, nostalgia is playing a part in why this is the best year in my eyes. But I would love to read what would be your favorite Brawl Stars year in the comments, because I would really like to see different perspectives. But with that, thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Talker, CR, and BS.